Oh my gosh, we're live. Who's this person on the stream with me? No, you're live. No. Hey everyone, it is Mark. It is 7:27 p.m. 10/28 October 2022. Welcome to Friday Night Game Bites. Oh, yeah, I gotta put the desktop audio on. People say you look like Iron Man, Alex.
Already.
Yeah.
That was less than 30 seconds.
Do you get that one often?
No, I get Liv Schreiber a lot, but maybe it's closer to Wolverine now because of the hair.
Liv Schreiber,
hair.
I see a mix between Liv Schreiber and Bill Murray.
I do not got no Tony Stark thing going on here.
Oh, you're a scientist.
That is true.
He's
Not an
actually
engineer.
he's a scientist, guys. This is my good friend Alex. I've known Alex. How long? How long have I known you?
14 years.
Really?
12 years. 12 years.
12 years?
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. Oh, yeah, man. Gosh. You were in my wedding.
Mm-hmm.
Not by choice.
No, I was snuck in a barrel, but
Yeah, snuck in a barrel. Reed Richards is also what they're saying as well. Reed Richards. But no, we
Okay.
went to college together.
I show a profile with all my gray hair, and they're like, "Oh yeah, Reed Richards."
Yeah, it's Reed Richards. It's Reed Richards.
Never mind,
Anyway.
it's just Reed Richards.
Yeah. We've been gaming probably. I mean, yeah. In college, I was not as much of a gamer. You were the hardcore gamer in college, though.
Yeah, I was a gamer that went to college, not a college goer that played games. So, yeah,
fair.
it was a little bit of an issue.
I remember being on vacation on spring break and you playing Birth by Sleep on your PSP. Yeah.
And probably Pokemon on the SP also.
On the SP, yeah. And then, your brother went to school with us too, so I was good friends with your brother. Yeah. His full name is Alexander Cornelius III.
Oh.
Yeah.
Reed is in
And,
there somewhere too.
Yeah, Alex Cornelius Reed. He is not Mr. Fantastic. Oh, he's a fantastic friend. So fun fact about Alex, the night before I had my first date with my now wife. Remember that night?
There was a lot of, hey, Alex is involved the night before a significant event with your now wife. There's a lot of those.
Yeah.
Wait, is this are you talking about the Niagara Falls one?
Yeah, the Niagara Falls trip.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't know that was the night before your first date. That's cool.
Yeah, that's because you put that cheese platter together for us.
Mm.
Is that a cup with your face on it?
It has me and my friend's face and my brother's faces. We're just
Okay.
sipping with the boys.
Sipping with the boys. Nice.
I guess.
Nice.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, the night before that day, I texted like you and Adam. Adam also in my wedding. Adam was like, "No, I can't go out. I'm married." But I was like, "Let's just go on a random trip somewhere." And we agreed to drive all the way to Niagara Falls at like 11 o'clock at night. And then you were like, "Yeah, I'll do it." And we drove all the way to Niagara Falls.
Yeah, we left I think at 11 and got back at 7. I had to go to work. But that just so happened to be the event where there was like a crazy wet rain and everything on the trees froze, and it was like every branch had like 3 inches thick of ice on it, and it was like in the news. And the people at work the next day are like, "Oh, did you go to Niagara Falls to see the cool trees and stuff?" I was like, "No, I went to lose a foot to frostbite and drive my friend back." I had no idea about the news.
Yeah, it was really cool getting there because one, it was extremely cold. Two, everything was frozen over. Even the falls were frozen over. We ate at some casino at like 3 a.m. like breakfast food, and then we drove back. But it was the entire time I was like, I think this girl is special, and you were like, huh?
I'm not a girl.
Yeah, yeah. And then we went home. You went to work. Your boss yelled at me because you were like, "Don't keep Alex out that late." And then you made
it was a problem for you. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you made us a fancy cheese platter with all the names in, and so that first date, my wife and I had cheese, and then we read the names of the cheese. I think I don't know. She's here. She might have kept the labels. I don't remember, but I know I ruined the dinner that night. But that's beside the point. But yeah. So this is my good friend Alex. He's joining me tonight. I'm excited because out of all my friends named Alex, he's the one that plays games most.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if there was some other tier I have above that other Alex on the other coast.
You do, because of you remember the bachelor party?
Yeah.
You remember the apple?
Yeah, he does. You know,
Yeah. That's
people like
why
to
I
forget.
hold you up there. So the other Alex, who I always talk about, that I want to hit in the face. He's my cousin. I love him. It's a love tap. But yeah, there was just a funny moment in the hotel room with an apple, and we'll leave it at that. Okay. So yeah, he's joining me for Game Bites tonight. We'll see if he wants to come back. So chat, give him a warm welcome, and if he doesn't want to come back, I'm just gonna blame everyone here. No. He's also a fan of. Is that Naruto in the background?
I think everyone in the chat is like, "How dare you? Who are you looking at? That you
Just
thought it
kidding.
was Naruto?" Okay.
I'm just messing with you.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Also, a big fan of Dragon Ball Z. We shared that as well. So yeah. So I
Big
thought we'd go.
fan.
Big fan. We'd go through the news and talk about what we're playing and see what's coming up on the gaming world. Does that sound good?
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah, it does.
So have you done your homework?
For this or school?
Both.
I'm just gonna say yes.
Okay. Actually, how about you give a little introduction to the chat? Like, what do you do? What are you doing? Remember, because there's that school thing happening too.
I am currently in the biotech industry. I live in the San Francisco Bay Area, so we are doing a coast to coast little show here right now. I work in the biotech industry. I'm a manager for production. They make fluorescent dyes, but I'm also going to school for something on the opposite side of the science spectrum. I want to be a park manager, national parks and stuff. So I'm getting my master's in parks and resource management and conservation.
Awesome.
But yeah, and then I spend the other 80 hours of my waking life playing video games and playing with animals. So
And you have a
that's
wife.
not. Oh, yeah. We should just throw that in there. Yeah, I'm married. No, that's fresh. So
That's fresh. That's great.
It was August, and we're doing another wedding in the Philippines in December for the rest of her fam. So
Yeah. Awesome.
fancy cheese.
Yeah, that was you gave us fancy cheese.
Okay. Yeah,
Awesome.
that's it. Let's go.
Nothing else about you. Okay. Well, here, talking about news then, what have you heard about this whole Bayonetta situation?
Oh man, I heard a couple weeks ago. Maybe there's news is traveling faster than that, but I just heard that the main voice actress for Bayonetta was like shortchanged. And my understanding of it was that there's, crazy lucrative game franchise, and they were kind of short-handing their lead vocalist. And that was where I last left off until the news this week that maybe she wasn't shortchanged.
Yeah. It's been
So,
crazy. And we talked about this here a few weeks ago. Like the entire idea, first off, of like, one, not trying to pick sides when something like this first breaks, because who knows what's happening. But the sheer idea of like justice for fair pay for people that do this work, it blew my mind that on average, you're only getting paid maybe $15,000 to $20,000 to like voice something for a major game, but also that residuals weren't guaranteed.
yeah, I definitely would have expected more on both of those fronts. I had
Yeah.
no idea it was that little.
Yeah, but to that point, the original actress, Helena Taylor, I want to say, came out about 3 weeks ago saying, "Hey, I was only offered $4,000 to do Bayonetta in the sequel," and then it turns out that after some research and all that stuff, she was offered about $4,000 to $5,000 per session, and that came out separate from her statement. And then she just this past week corroborated that actually, yeah, that is true. So it's a shame because now it's people aren't sure what to do. Like people that got real, in my opinion, hot and bothered about like, oh, I'm on this side, I'm on that side. Like either way, people should be paid justly. Like that's a horrible thing. But now it's just kind of like, well, what do you do with this situation now? Like what made her say the things she said, and then also, what do you do to make sure? Like, what incentive does Platinum now have to actually change? Given that now they're like, well, look, she clearly wasn't telling the truth, so let's wash our hands.
Yeah, there's that. Yeah. But I have no metric for what even is fair pay in that industry. I'm talking about voice acting in general. Like,
Yeah.
is it, I don't know if people consider it like a workload. Like, how long does it take you to go in there? And I know probably for, I don't know, I'm trying to throw a random thing, like 100 lines of dialogue or something. How many do they have to do? Like 10 to 50 takes for each 100 lines. I'm saying there's probably a lot of time allocated, but um, is voice acting not like as demanding as just regular acting in movies and stuff like that? And do they have like a lot of gigs that go on, and how much do they make a year and stuff? So that's why I didn't know what's actually considered fair for them or what they're used to, and how much of a difference this was for her with this one series.
Yeah, no, it's a fair point. It is definitely a demanding job. As someone who's done voices for Loveland, the game that we're working on, I've done like 7 takes. I'm like, that sounds great, and it's like, no, I have to do a ton more. And I'm like, I don't even notice the difference, but people do. And yeah. So the thing is they are in the Screen Actors Guild, so they have the same union backing them that actors. And it's because too you can go back and forth from being an actor or a voice actor. From what I understand, someone like Charles Martinet, who voices Super Mario, he makes close to 30,000 a month. Depends on the project he's working on. Some of the big voice actors do make good money, but yeah, I don't know what the norm is for just the average people. But they do work a lot, and they're not guaranteed residuals, which to me again that blows my mind the most. The idea that hey, my voice is used in this product every time it's sold, I don't get anything from that, even though it could be exponentially greater than any projections were based when I was originally compensated for the work I did. You know what I mean?
Well, isn't that all established in a contract ahead of time, anyways? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I guess she could just choose not to sign a contract that doesn't include that. But I mean, that's what a lot of actors. That's what you hear about nowadays with actors. Rather than taking a lump sum up front, they want royalties on a movie and still make it even on streaming and stuff like that. But that's all negotiated in the contract ahead of time. But again, it's just a strange situation that this happened. Something happened to her that she just had to speak up. But you're
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
What do they even? What's their incentive to even fix it now? When she kind of fumbled on it.
yeah. So again, it's like it's again. I'm not a fan of saying you should lie. Obviously, like that's a bummer that came out to be, because for people who wanted to be potentially persuaded and changed, this is going to be their excuse to not listen to the issue. But there's probably something to change there. The the idea of having residuals is something that I think the Screen Actors Guild could probably fight for as a normal thing. Like there are game makers that fight for that completely. We're like, hey, we make a game. If you're going to be a voice actor in this game, you're going to get some type of residual, whatever it is, But yeah, it is what it is now. Bayonetta 3 is out. I know people in the chat have it. It's in my mailbox. I haven't got it yet, and let's be honest, I haven't played any of the games I've bought. So, you've never played the Bayonetta games, have you?
Shame. No.
No,
No.
no. You played Devil May Cry?
The closest I came to playing Bayonetta was Super Smash Brothers Ultimate. That was the closest I came.
That's the
And
same
what'd you
game,
say?
pretty much.
It's the same game.
Yeah, yeah. Devil May Cry.
No, again, no. I feel
Okay.
like that was always no. I no. I don't know why I've never played those games, but I think like the most recent one you tried to sell me on, and you almost had me because it was just like a little bit different, or a little bit faster, a little bit more cinematic than the previous ones.
Devil May Cry 5 was good. I'd recommend it. Get it pretty cheap, but they're the best character action games I think made. Platinum Games, when they make a good game, it's the best of its kind. Nier Automata was made by Platinum.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Nier is great for a lot of reasons. Its action component, while very fun, doesn't have the verticality that Devil May Cry or Bayonetta does in terms of like combos, challenge, and all that. Where those games are really about perfecting combat, perfecting that challenge. Nier is very much this is fun combat, but here's an amazing story and amazing
Story
around it. In fact, yeah. So yeah, Bayonetta 3, it's out. Pick it up if you want. We'll go from there. In other news, Alex, you've known me for 12 years. What is my favorite movie from? What is my favorite movie of all time?
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking. You're talking about Goonies.
Yeah. It's
I couldn't think of a joke answer, but you've
yeah.
been raving about Bros for like months now, but it's still the Goonies.
Yeah. Totally me, for sure. The Goonies is now rumored to come out in multiverses. There's been a data leak for the multiverses. It's Warner Brothers Super Smash Brothers game, right? Have you heard about this one?
Yeah.
Have you played it?
Did you say Warner Brothers and Super Smash? Is it?
It's their version of.
Oh yeah, Warner Brothers still has DC, huh?
They have
Yeah.
DC, they have Scooby Doo. So there's rumors now coming out that some of your favorite characters from the Goonies, Chunk, Sloth, all those great characters, Data, you're gonna be able to potentially play as in
Yeah,
multiverses.
I think this was only included just because of Data's role in that movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once. They're just like, we have to shove him in a game. Um, and also, how about Josh Brolin? He's in 2 video games now. I mean, he was Thanos in Fortnite, and now he's going to be in Goonies and Multiverses. Like, Josh Brolin in video games is not something I would have predicted back in when I first heard about Josh Brolin. They just
You
need
know
to get
what?
his character from Old Boy, probably in Smash Brothers, and then he'll round it out pretty nicely.
Wait. What's Old Boy?
Oh, anyone that's probably in the chat is like, do not watch the American version. That's a Korean like
Okay. I think I know that
thriller
movie. Yeah. I think I know
that
that
had
movie.
Josh Brolin and Elizabeth Olsen in the American remake. But
Okay. No, I think I've heard of that movie. Yeah. Yeah.
find your way back to multiverses, yeah, in the Goonies.
I wonder how many games Josh Brolin's actually going to be in now. Josh Brolin actually going to be in because of this. But yeah, I haven't played Multiverses. It was really popular. Someone said the Korean version is way better. Father Trekkie said the Korean version is way better.
Oh, it is. Yeah, there is technically no American remake. Don't. But
okay. All right, honey. I think we're watching something called Old Boy tonight.
Mm-mm.
No. Okay.
Say that for like.
It's Halloween.
Not tonight. Oh yeah. Well yeah.
So yeah, Multiverses. Yeah. Okay.
We're watching that tonight.
We're gonna watch Star Wars, honey, and the Goonies. But yeah, Multiverses has been out for a while now. Have you tried it?
No, it is free to play. It is always on the ads when you open up your PS5, and there's just been always this urge to try because it's Smash. It's not like I'll probably never give Fortnite a try if they're Goonies and Fortnite, but Multiverses has a little bit more of a ticket for me to try out.
Yeah, it's interesting too because you have Lord of the Rings in there, you have Game of Thrones in there.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, you could see Mortal Kombat come that way as well, because that's a Warner Brothers property
Scorpion's
too.
probably going to be in it next year. Why not?
Well, that's what they did with Shaggy. There's like basically a Super Saiyan Shaggy. They don't call it that. Ultra Instinct Shaggy.
Yeah,
That made an appearance in a Mortal Kombat animated Warner Brothers film in the beginning. Maybe that's his Ultra in the game too. So, I played it for a second on vacation on my Steam Deck. It was fun. I was Superman and I beat the heck out of Wonder Woman. It was fun, but then I'm just like, yeah, I don't have time for this, and I don't play enough Smash as it is. So, Animaniacs as well. Like, there's a lot of fun stuff that can happen there. So it'd be cool to see a competitor pop up. I'm always questioning whenever monetization is a battle pass. Like, you could do it really good, or you could just make it in a way that's just like abusive too. So, like, you haven't played Fortnite. I could probably never get you to play Fortnite. But out of all the games I've ever played that are free to play, Fortnite is the most generous. Like, if you get a battle pass, you can earn enough V-Bucks to then buy another battle pass for free. And it's not like you have to put hundreds of hours into it. You can actually do it with like you're a reasonable player, So
you don't know how Multiverses is with that?
Not yet. I don't know if anyone in the chat's done it. I think it's still in beta mode too. Like, I think they at least halted on their full launch. And originally when it came out, their full battle pass wasn't out yet as well. So, and then lots happened since. But the Goonies, you put the Goonies on anything, I'm going to take a look at it.
You're gonna get it, yeah.
You give me
that for 20 hours a week.
Yeah, you give me some Balut, I'll be like, maybe. You give me Goonies Balut, there it is. There it is. Speaking of things that I'll stare at inevitably, Star Wars Eclipse. Have you played anything by have you played Heavy Rain or any of those games?
Nope. No. Just that was like, I think Heavy Rain was like, wasn't that when the PS3 first came out? Like, that was the game I always saw on the shelves that looked like super realistic and I couldn't play at home because that came out when we were still in middle school, high school or something.
Really? You were in high school when the PS3 came out?
Yeah. Wait, yeah. Wait, what are we on now? We're on PS5. The PS4 came out in like 2012, 13, 14. We were in PS3, yeah.
I'm gonna look this up. Heavy
Yeah, we were
Rain.
definitely in high school. That was like 2006 or 2000. Yeah, it has to be 2006. Cameron
Heavy
had that
Rain.
before.
2010 is when Heavy Rain came out.
When did the PS3 come out? I didn't do research
PS
on PS3.
Beyond Two Souls is another one that came out 2013. PS3 release date. When was that, chat? I didn't play PS3. I wasn't good enough for the cell processor. 2006.
There you go.
So so about 4 years into the release of the PS3. I remember you had the PS3 because I remember watching you play BioShock on that, and I was playing Rayman. Definitive Rayman something. But yeah, so PS3, Heavy Rain. You never played any of those games by Quantic Dreams?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so what about Detroit Become Human?
No, but see, these are all I know extremely narrative and story driven. You know,
Yeah,
I wouldn't. They're not. I don't. As far as I'm concerned, I don't think they're like heavy action games or anything. But if they're all narrative and story, I mean, I think for Star Wars, that's something people would want. They're gonna, of course, pepper it with a lot of Star Wars action, but sounds like a good idea.
1 second. Someone just came to my door, so entertain the chat. I might get shot. I don't.
That's my Uber Eats. I messed up the address. You can't hear me. Har har. I gotta entertain chat. Um, let's see here. PS3 was 06. When was Xbox 360? And that's a dude eating or shoving apart. Is that Mark? Man, that was Mark. I think that's an emoji of Mark in high school, believe it or not. Before he had a full beard. I do not know what to talk about with just me. Oh, someone actually did through 360 was 05? They came out before the PS3.
I'm alive. What's that meditation for?
I was thinking about, I didn't know the 360 came out before the PS3, and then I was trying to think about the PS4 launch. What launched simultaneously with Microsoft? Was that the Xbox One?
One probably would have been earlier than the PS4, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Well, I'm alive. Someone came to my house thinking it was still the home of the people that lived here for us.
You've lived there for months or years at this point?
Literally about a year at this point. Like, we moved in October 27th of last year. It was just some lady, is this the Peterson house? It used to be. And then she's apologized. She's like, my husband, he thinks he knows everything. And then I was like, okay. And then that was it. So, anyways, where were we at? Oh, so all those games, Quantic Dreams and all that stuff, you're right. They're story-driven games focused on narrative, not focused on action. Last year at the Game Awards, they announced Star Wars Eclipse, which cinematically is a gorgeous-looking game. I don't know if you've seen the trailer for it. It looks awesome, and we got some news this week that it's kind of almost like an intentional leak, it seems, because they're publishing the game themselves, which is an undertaking, significant costly undertaking. And so people are saying that this leak was a little bit intentional to try to drum interest and probably drum investment as well. But it's about a new race. It's in the High Republic era, so it's about 300 years before the first prequel. An entire different empire as well, the Zaron Empire, and focusing on a political conflict as well. Imagine that. But
wow, really?
Yeah. But to your point, it is about story. It's about a husband and wife who are bonded through marriage and have almost one more of a hawk and one more of a dove in terms of their views towards the aggressiveness of the empire they're a part of. But it is supposed to be their first action adventure game as well. So there's been rumors that maybe the game is struggling in the engine it's built in because they've never built a game for in that engine.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it looks good. I'd love to get a great Star Wars story game. You played Fallen Order, right?
Oh gosh, yeah, that's because it had Soulsborne mechanics. Like, anything, pump that right in. Yeah. I was all over that. And it's funny you mentioned just it's struggling in the engine it was built in. I'm trying to think what release recently just hasn't been struggling in whatever they built it in. This is just like they're just warning people that like, hey, it's going to be like every other video game you played.
Yeah,
We'll see.
yeah. So yeah, it's interesting, but that's actually a good point to transition to Gotham Knights. So talking about games struggling, this is something that I know you've played, and I want to get your input on it after we talk about these news articles for sure. But Digital Foundry at Eurogamer.net, they're known for their expertise in performance, right? I remember about 4 or 5 years ago, they kind of popped up on the scene. They'll analyze everything, frames per second, resolution, fidelity, all that good stuff, right? And they actually came out and made an apologetic of sorts to why Gotham Knights might have been released as a 30 frames per second only game. One of it being that every time there's a new generation and a new focus on utilizing everything the new engine of that generation can do, there's a lot of things built into that engine, like Unreal 5, that demand a lot more power than you would typically, that you're just going to see, obviously. And so their whole point in this article was that, like, what you see with Gotham Knights, you actually might see a lot more with other games that are exclusive to the new consoles. Is that they might, as they do more and more in the background, and as they do more and more with the engine itself, they actually might be more limited to 30 frames per second, and you won't see as much that luxury of a performance mode and a quality mode, so to speak. Which I know you're not someone that cares about that, but I found it interesting because we've gotten so used to 60 frames or even 120 frames on PC or further, and they're kind of saying, "Hey, we're the experts in this stuff," and the return to 30 frames per second is inevitable. That's literally the name of the article over at Digital Foundry on Eurogamer.net. That, again, with Unreal 5 coming, you're going to see more games at this type of stability, so to say. So I say all that. What do you think of that? Also, what do you care? And how did you enjoy Gotham Knights, by the way?
I did have a quick. So you're saying the structure, how they're building it in the system to take advantage of the processing power of these new systems, and the structure that they're building behind it doesn't even allow them to have a performance and graphics mode. Is that what you're saying? Because that's what I'm wondering about with them.
Yeah, that's a good clarification question. So I would say no, you could definitely still do it, but as game makers are, like, I guess taking a step back, the first game that came out on the PS4, like, it was a good looking game. But think about when Horizon Zero Dawn came out, like near the last stage of the life of it. That game looked gorgeous, right? And so there's always that time it takes to take advantage of a new piece of hardware to really harness it and build for it. There's that factor. With these new consoles, it's been about 2 to 3 years, which is crazy to think about now. So there's that factor that's always there, but you're also getting a new engine that games are being made on specifically too. So I think most of PS4 was Unreal 4 and like a certain Unity. But with Unreal 5 now coming out and being pushed as the main engine for people to make their games on, there's a lot of new features that Unreal Engine 5 can do, from, like, let's say, a lighting perspective, or just various ways it handles graphics and performance, where if they build a game for perfect stability in that and take advantage of what it has to offer, they might lean to say, hey, this is our unified experience across all platforms. And because of that, we don't have the leftover resources to actually bother with a 4K HDR mode or a 60 frames per second mode. It's just going to be 4K HDR 30 frames, and that's what it's optimized for right now. If that makes sense.
Was Forbidden West done in 4 or 5?
No, it was done in 4.
Oh, no wonder.
Not a lot of games.
Everything I was about to ask about them, like, it's no wonder they've dissected Unreal 4 and know how to optimize it and everything at that point.
Yeah. Not a lot of games have been made in 5 yet. In fact, it's a real big marketing term right now to say getting made in Unreal 5. And so this was interesting. Father Trek in the chat says, I thought it was capped because they needed to put it on the Series S. That was one of the things that started. I think we talked about this, was like developers started bringing up in the news, like, and these are people that didn't actually work on Gotham, but said, hey, we're making games, and one of our challenges is if we want to release on Xbox, we also have to release on Series S, and you do have to build for the lowest common denominator, which is true. But I think the pushback from a lot of other developers is, well, you're building it for PC, and PC has a lower common denominator than Xbox Series S too. So, and there's a similar DirectX architecture there too. So, um, I don't know if I truly get worked up about this. Like,
No, I guess it depends. Like I know people are worked up about it, or they're just finding something to just stick on, just to complain about a certain game, because it just happens with certain fandoms. But yeah, I've never. I was talking to you earlier this week. I really can't. I can't remember a game that I know was like definitely 60 FPS or 30 FPS. Like I don't know. Even when I was playing Gotham all week, like I didn't. It just looks like every other game to me. So
you know,
I didn't. If it's locked at 30, I don't have like a frame count or anything. Then it never really took the gameplay away from me. But if people are stuck on 60 and refuse to play anything 30, then yeah, it's probably a letdown for them if they wanted to play the game.
yeah,
But yeah, it is not something I've been. I don't know. If you've been playing games since 1998, like the original PlayStation, I've never jumped visually to 60 FPS yet, where it's like something I demand every time I play. It's always a bonus. That's cool. But yeah, I couldn't tell you. Any game, you can
yeah.
ask me any game, I can't tell you if it even had a 60 FPS or 30, or had it
Yeah.
frame rate issues at all.
I don't think we started to see 60 FPS as an option that much until like the last generation of consoles.
Like the
Um,
Pro, like the PS4
yeah,
Pro had
yeah, and the
performance modes
Xbox
and stuff
One
like that.
X. Yeah, yeah, they had like performance modes too. And that is something you typically see with PC. So I do think there's the PC gaming was having a heavy influence on how people were trying to sell consoles. But consoles were always supposed to be something different than PCs too, since it's expensive. A gaming PC that's top end nowadays, especially with the 4090s, can cost you over $3,000. So, um, or you could spend $300 and play on your TV at home. So, with that being said, what do you think of Gotham?
I actually liked it a lot. I wanted a game, like I knew it wasn't going to be an Arkham game. Like they said that 100 times, so I really wasn't expecting an Arkham game. But what I was hoping for was that each of the characters were fun. Like I was really looking forward to Nightwing because he's my favorite. But I was more curious about Red Hood because he's the one I use the most in like Injustice 2.
Mhm.
He's like a brute in Gotham though.
Yeah.
Um, but the one thing that caught me by surprise, and I didn't expect this, like I really wasn't following the game up until release because I really didn't know what state it was going to be released in. Um, I didn't know that the world was going to be full of just like stuff that is just going to divert your attention and stuff. And I was like, I got like super over leveled because like when I went out into the world to like see my objectives and stuff, you could just like press up, or I think it's up down on the D-pad, and it just like does like a quick radar, and it shows you like where there's active crimes going on, and that's like
Uh-huh.
almost a bottomless pit of, you can just be like gliding around or zipping around, and there's just like crimes being taken place, and you go down there, do some fun combos, and like master the combat, and you can actually interrogate them to unlock like the actual premeditated crimes that are going to be happening around the city, and it's kind
Okay.
of like endless, and I don't remember that being like a core mechanic of the Arkham games. Like I remember them
Yeah.
actually being pretty empty, besides, but that's what Arkham capitalized on, was there was a lot more villains, I'll say. I was a little disappointed that with Gotham was it felt like there was four core villains, but they're
Okay.
kind of like they're they couldn't pull too much from Batman main villains.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I like the gameplay that I had. I've been playing it all week, and I beat the game. I think you can beat it like the story mode, if you just ignore everything, side quests and all those stuff in the city. You beat it in 6 hours, go into New Game Plus and skip all the cutscenes and beat it in another 2 to 3 hours. But it took me like 20 because I was just so distracted with everything going on the streets.
Yeah.
And the combat was really fun and super variable and everything. So yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised by that. I think sometimes whenever a game has a heavy press circle about something negative, like what we had with performance, I'm never surprised when a game gets a very low score right after that by most people. So like, it was getting a 4, which to me
Mm.
is like saying almost this game is unplayable. And I don't know if that was fair. Talking to you, it sounds like it's worth playing if you're a fan of it. When you talk about that system, though, about the crimes, that reminds me a lot of Spider-Man on PS4.
Yeah,
Like,
that one. See, like Spider-Man, I think so. Yeah, but this one, it's more integral. Like I think, and Spider-Man. Yeah, you're right. They did have kind of mobs and stuff. It was close to
yeah,
Spider-Man, but even Spider-Man, even going to get the collectibles and stuff, like had a lot more benefits, and it wasn't as overbearing. In Gotham, it seems a little overbearing.
okay,
If you want to do the plat, which is what I'm going for. But you're
okay,
right, it is close to Spider-Man. But I think it's done better in Gotham, um,
okay,
especially because
interesting.
you have four different characters. They all have four different builds. Um, and like I said, like everything, every special you do, which there's four of them, there's like an even stronger one that's a different one. So it's like 8 different specials you can do and incorporate into the fights and stuff. But
Interesting.
yeah, like my only gripes with it was like I forgot about the bat cycle, which seems like such a cool concept. You're like, cool, I get to zip around town on a no, I shouldn't say zip, but you get to ride around town on this bat cycle. But I played most of the game. I beat the game and just didn't do. Well, I don't want to spoil any bosses or anything, but there's this one side boss where the bat cycle is actually part of the mission. Just there's like 1 or 2 missions where
Yeah.
they just chase the villain as he runs around town, and it's not like impossible or anything. It's really not like tedious. But I was like, this is probably why they capped the speed for the bike because you're literally following an animation of this villain running around town. And if you're going any faster, it'd be an absolute chaos. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when you're not in that mission, it's kind of like hilarious because someone made a conscious decision to do the audio for increasing the gears of the bike, like,
Uh,
but like your dude's still coasting at like 43 miles per hour, like barely passing traffic, while like the audio of your gears going all the way up to 6, and then just like plateaus at like you're 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 about to destroy this engine kind of noise, and you're still you're not going fast. You're barely passing traffic in Gotham. I thought that was so weird that they didn't just like at least add a turbo or anything, or at least have it go faster. So like I
hmm,
forgot about the bat cycle for a good like 16 hours because like I'm doing like every class or every character has their own unique traversal
yeah.
in the sky, and so I was like doing that all the time because you can like drop down on enemies and stuff. I forgot about the bat cycle until like I was forced to do that mission and it's like call your bat cycle. I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot all about this thing because it's not fun. It's not a
Sure.
good means of travel at all.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
I
and like I
remember
said,
the.
I was looking for a more colorful roster of villains and stuff, but yeah, maybe they're saving it for DLC or another game, but maybe it's because Batman did most of the work before those four even got involved.
Well, oh, I heard Batman's dead. I don't. Yeah, I don't know who that is.
Yeah, opening cutscene.
They.
Um,
I mean, that's the ending of Gotham or Arkham Knight, right? Which I remember that.
but no, 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 it's not an Arkham game. It's not. It doesn't pick up from the events of Arkham.
It doesn't.
No, the opening scene. This is not a spoiler for anyone involved. Or I mean, if you haven't played the opening scene of the game, but no, it's a fight between him and Ra's al Ghul. Opening scene,
Ah. Okay.
and
Hmm.
yeah, and it leads to them four coming here. The other thing
Okay.
about Gotham Knights is it picks up. It's a storyline about the Court of Owls, which whether they're well utilized is a whole nother argument. But I
Okay.
love the Court of Owls because
Same
they
here.
came out of the New 52 reboot,
That
and
was the
I was
best
just like
thing.
obsessed with
Yeah.
them. Yeah, it was so
Yeah.
awesome. Like I got the Talon comics and everything back then. It was like a separate.
I think I still
Um,
have your Talon one, by the way.
I
The
just
graphic
rebought
novel.
it because I thought my old roommate stole it from me, but it was you have it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
have.
have it. Yeah.
I just rebought it on eBay like earlier this week because
Yeah.
I wanted to get the story again because
No, that the
they didn't use those elites in there like him and
okay.
Robin's like great grandfather
Interesting.
I think was one of them. Yeah, they didn't use those elites in the game,
Well, yeah,
but like
the
I'm
Court
obsessed
of
with
Owls
them. So
was really cool. I really liked the idea of a secret organization. It was I didn't see anything like that in Batman yet, and they were intimidating in the storyline too. New 52 is obviously not being done anymore, but
no rebirth.
that was pretty awesome. So okay, I'm still planning on checking it out. I don't know when, of course, but I don't know. I think opinions from the average folk will probably be that it's worth it if you're a fan of these types of games, but maybe it's not as groundbreaking as the Arkham series once was, or Arkham City at the very least. Like even Arkham Knight I liked, but it got to a point where like I liked Arkham Knight a lot, but the reliability on the Batmobile missions with the tanks and taking care of the like that almost got a little rote at a certain point too, where Arkham City seemed like the perfect balance of everything an Arkham game could offer to you. And that's a game whenever your brother snapped his leg in half, if you remember that. Beautiful image. Yeah, I'm sure you had him in your apartment above the deli. You were playing Bioshock Infinite on your like PS3, and I had a Wii U, and I would bring over games like Rayman and Arkham City on the Wii U, and that was like we would do our weekends gaming there. And brother was playing Pokemon on his mini Game Boy Advance. Man, his leg was really jacked up.
Yeah. Man, when you said that, I pictured the what it looked like at the gym when it happened, and his X-ray, and then him with his leg up, 2 days later in a cast.
I remember
all three of those.
Talking to Corporal White, who appeared on the scene when it happened, like a week or so after. He's like, "You know him?" I was like, "Yeah, it's my good friend." He's like, "Oh man, is he okay?" Like, this is a dodgeball match gone horribly wrong. But yeah, good times. Okay. Well, to that point, Rocksteady veterans, that co-founders of the company, Sefton Hill and Jamie Walker, were just announced as leaving the studio. I want to say Wednesday or Thursday of this week. Not really a lot of information on why. It was related to a press release on the website. They did a lot of work on the new Suicide Squad game. I think Suicide Squad kill the I want to say the Avengers, but I'm getting my universes. Yeah, that's not out yet, right? That's coming out, correct?
No, I think it's later this year.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see how that game handles certain things, because that's also play as a lot of different characters in an Arkham type game. But yeah, they have gone out. I imagine you'll see them again, but that's significant news to have this happen once they got this game out the door too. I never know why exactly these things happen, but honestly though, it's like a project life cycle. You want to see the one thing you're really on. Once you get that out the door, maybe that's the perfect time to leave, but who knows. So yeah, Rocksteady, have they made anything else besides the Arkham games?
As soon as I heard Rocksteady, I thought of Rockstar and thought of GTA, but no, I don't think anything off the top of my head.
Yeah, interesting. Well, talking a little bit more about Unreal Engine 5, I know a series you might have played this. You've played The Witcher before, right?
Yeah.
That was a joke. Witcher 3 is like what you... Yeah. The year I got married, that's all you talked about. I was like, yeah, play The Witcher 3. It was just like, all right. But yeah, they announced, CD Projekt Red has announced a remake of the first Witcher to come out on next-gen consoles and PC for made completely in Unreal Engine 5. So did you play the original one?
No, I think, didn't that just come out on PC? And that was back in 2007. I think the console jump might have been 3. It might have been 2. Yeah. I thought, but no, that first one came on PC. Yeah. No, I just know, I know when it takes place, in the books at least, and I know it has a whole mission about the Striga, which I think is just revisiting, which Netflix did adapt the whole Striga with King Foltest. But it's in the first book, I believe. But no, I never played the first game.
I read the first prequel. I think I'm halfway through the first book and then fell off. They were good. They were written pretty easy. Like, they were easy reads. Those Witcher books.
The easy reading is actually kind of a side effect of the translation.
We talked about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I told you that a couple of years ago, because I recommended it to someone and she said it was just very, it seems very, like you said, easy read, and she expected a little bit more with such a big series and stuff. And I was like, there's actually better fan translations of the book than the official releases that give it a little bit more, I guess, heart,
Yeah, like with the regard the series has in Poland, right? And because that's where it's from originally, right? I want to say.
Yeah, a lot of it's based on Polish mythology, or not mythology, but folklore and fables. Yeah.
People coming and cutting off your kids' fingers and all that stuff. Good times.
A lot of stuff with newborns, turning into crazy stuff because they're cursed and stuff. I'm just,
yeah. Gotta love Poland. But so it is interesting. I wonder if that was a deliberate choice as people were adopting these these written books into the U.S., knowing that, hey, the game's popular and the game's writing's brilliant. They don't really hold back. but also there being a TV show coming out. Like, how do we make it appeal to more people? Maybe we do a translation that is, more young adult based in reading skill versus trying to truly stay faithful. So I don't know. I'm curious how those decisions get made. To be honest, I don't know enough about it. Anyways, yeah, I'll probably play this game. I still got to beat The Witcher 3. That's what I want to do. Witcher 3 on Steam Deck. Completely portable, 60 frames per second.
A lot of time. That game has so much to offer, and it's.
Yeah.
I mean, I just know some people that they were in White Orchard, which is like the first area of the game. I won't even say the prologue of the game, but they spent so much time there, not even knowing there was a bigger map. And then there's like, it's insane. But there's so much to that game and so much to explore. I really don't know. I want to know what the official time to complete or explore everything is for that.
Yeah.
Because I've dumped so many hours into that game, and there's parts of the map I haven't even touched.
That's what I did when I first played it, like 2 years ago. Played it on Xbox, and I put over like 30 hours, and I was just doing every mission I could find. And I like finally got out of White Orchard, and it was, it's like, oh wow, okay. Do I'm good, I think. Well, seriously, I think it was on Game Pass and it was taken off Game Pass, so I was just like, okay, I'll move on to something else. But yes, Father Trek in the chat says he felt the same thing with Elden Ring, which I still have to beat as well. But
what did they feel? Oh, probably what? Oh man, they were probably on that first area.
Yeah.
Oh man, I can't stop touching Elden Ring. Like anything with the Soulsborne, I know that's from Soft alone, but like, yeah, there is no pulling me away from that.
Yeah.
I think that pulled me through my second, or not my second playthrough, but my second attempt at finishing Witcher 3. I think Elden Ring pulled that away back in February, March.
Yeah. That was I had a lot of fun with Elden Ring, more fun than I had with any other From Software game. Because historically, I don't know if it was like how you would hype it up, because I didn't play these games. You'd like borrow Dark Souls 2. Here's my strategy guide, which I gave you that back, right? The Dark Souls 2 guide. Okay, good. I was always making sure I didn't ruin that when I had it in storage and stuff like that.
My art book.
Do I have your art book still too?
No. I buy those things for like the art at the end of them.
Yeah. And
That's funny.
but with Dark Souls 2, I feel like I was like constantly looking at the guide, afraid what was going to happen. And maybe it's because I played a lot of games of that nature since, like Neo. We played a lot of Neo. Neo 2 was awesome.
You played Neo 2, but you struggled with Dark Souls 2? This must have been like a time.
I played Neo 2 after Dark Souls 2. Remember we played Neo 2 at the beginning of the lockdown?
Yeah.
But yeah,
100 hours in Fire Giant.
From Elden Ring. Elden Ring was just like, I felt more free to explore on my own and, get into trouble. So it was a good game. Keeping a little bit more about gaming news, there's a few things I thought we could cover. I don't think we need to. Callisto project. So I know we talked a little bit about this. I don't think you were familiar with it. People in the chat might be familiar with it. Callisto project was...
That sounds like a code name for a game that's going to have a better title.
That's
why I didn't think that. Like that sounds like what did they do for The Witcher? They're calling it Canis Majoris for the wolf reference. But like that's Callisto Protocol, or is it Protocol or Project?
Callisto actually might be Callisto Protocol. Yeah, I'm messing it up. It's Callisto Protocol. Still, I think it still applies.
Yeah, it still sounds like a code name for like some Batman game that's coming out next year. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the true sequel to Arkham Knight.
Yeah.
It's being made by Striking Distance Studios, published by Krafton. It was announced probably about a year and a half ago. I want to say maybe at an Xbox event. It's a spiritual successor in ways to Dead Space, which you never played any of the Dead Spaces, right?
I am a scaredy cat.
Okay, you don't like Resident Evil games? Or? Yeah.
I played the one that has the guy and the girl. It's like starts in South Africa or something, I believe. Is that?
5, I think.
Probably 5.
I think 5 or 6. You played that with your brother, I remember.
Yeah, and that was it because it was co-op. It was a lot of fun. Like that's the only one I played, and I don't remember that having too much horror involved. Yeah,
they were testing different methods with those games at that point. But yeah, Dead Space 1, 2, and 3. Ironically, Dead Space is getting its remake here soon as well. I want to say beginning of 2023. You'll see a release date for that. But Callisto Protocol was supposed to come out here in December, and it is coming out in December in the rest of the world. But they've recently announced they're canceling their release for Japan because they cannot get the game to pass any form of rating guidelines from the government. So little kind of reference there. Obviously, when we released Depiction, we didn't have any issues with this because it's a puzzle game. But there's thousands. It seems like thousands of different rating systems for every single country you go in. And Japan actually has one of the most strict when it comes to gore and violence, for gaming specifically. And so when you get a Resident Evil game, even if you like, typically a Resident Evil game in Japan gets a rating version that's below their rating 0, which is like M for them. And they get one that is like uncut and is rating 0, but rating 0 is more equivalent to like an adults only game here in the US as well. But even that rating 0 version of, let's say, Resident Evil 2 is a lot more edited than what we get here in the US too. So they're very culturally sensitive to this type of stuff being in a game. And I watched, there was a stream I watched, I think Video Game Awards this summer, and they showed an updated trailer for Callisto Protocol. It was gory. I was like, oh, this is like the
You think it's just going to be gore?
Oh, I think 100% it's gore. Yeah, it's got to be gore. Like there was a guy getting chopped up by a fan, and it was just like, this guy, this is just the Goonies. He's going down a water slide, and then he didn't go anymore, and it got bad.
So did excuse my if I'm being naive, but like, were any of the Mortal Kombat games released in Japan?
It's a great question. You know, I
like that's what I'm wondering. Like Callisto, the thing is they're not going to release it in Japan, but it's going to be released everywhere else. Well, for the most part. So what we see in this game is like the line that Japan refused to cross as far as releasing it. So I'm just wondering what's in this game that wasn't in Mortal Kombat if that was released in Japan, but I don't know if it was. Because
I think it actually might not be released in Japan at all. Mortal Kombat. Okay,
well then that makes sense.
Yeah,
I was going to think if that's released, then there's something else in this game more psychologically bothersome than Mortal Kombat can be. I never knew that.
Yeah, I didn't either. So here's the tough thing: game makers will typically adapt the game to make it work. But this is a small team. And so it comes down to, hey, this game's gold. We're ready to go. And we've been trying as hard as we can to change things to make it get approved. And we still can't. So they just made the decision. If we look at our plans, it makes more sense for us to just cut the Japanese release overall, release it everywhere else. And then maybe one day we have the money and resources to edit it more and get it out there. But I don't know. They're not going to be able to compete with Splatoon 3 numbers as is. So that's...
That was their main competition. So,
well, Splatoon 3 is the fastest selling game ever in Japanese history now. Like over 6 or 7% of the population owns it, which is a record amount of numbers. It sold 3 to 4 million copies within the first week alone. Mm-hmm. Japan's 100 million plus people, so Splatoon 3 is a cultural sensation there. Splatoon in general. So it's weird. I want to check it out. Again, I tend to not like games that make me jump either, but there's an action aspect to this game that does seem kind of cool too, and it does seem like Returnal in a sense. I could be wrong here, but it's almost like you die, but you come back maybe. Again, I could be wrong. But that's coming out December 13th. I want to say here in the US, Callisto Protocol. So
yeah, well, in Returnal, you just took the last hit and fell. If this rinse and repeat in this involves a meat grinder, that's a little more brutal.
Oh yeah, I'll have to show you the video. I actually posted a video.
Oh yeah, I was please send it. I'll watch it on Sunday.
Yeah. Great. I took it off actually too because I was like, I don't feel comfortable putting this type of content on my channel. It seems way too gory, so I never actually published it. But it was my reaction to the trailer. I was like, oh, this seems fun, and then I was like, oh, whoa. This is not the way I think it should go. So, all right. 2 more items in gaming news. BioWare with some updates. I know I joked about this the other day to you, but there's actually a little bit of a reference to Mass Effect since we last talked.
That was you that joked about that? Was it about me being tied up next fall?
Yeah, your wedding. I was like, oh, well, you're going to have to cancel your wedding. The new Mass Effect is coming out.
Okay.
Yeah. So the makers of the new Dragon Age, Dreadwolf, came out and said the game is in alpha mode, so it's now completely playable from beginning to end. At this point, they're going to go through, play it as much as they can, and fine tune it, see how the feel of it is, because they actually haven't done that yet at this point with the game in alpha mode. The game will probably also still look like people felt like GTA 6 looked like, a little bit of garbage, because that type of stuff doesn't happen a lot later until it gets polished. But it's exciting news for Dragon Age fans. It seems like this game's happening. Have you played Dragon Age?
Uh,
Were you a fan of those games?
they're a little slow, but I played 2 and was Inquisition, the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not like super hyped or anything about these, but
Do they play like Skyrim in ways, more like third person character action?
yeah,
Okay.
third person, but it's more linear
Okay.
than like a free roam kind of game.
Okay. Yeah, and so I don't know enough about what this game's supposed to be, if they're changing anything of that nature. But that's good news. But in this conversation, the guy said also stay tuned for, is it N7 Day for Mass Effect fans? Is that a day of the year? When is that? May 7th?
Probably November. Probably
Oh.
November 7th. But no, I mean N7 was the, what was it even called? The line, the corp he was in, the
Okay.
army.
Yeah, so N7 Day is November 7th, the annual celebration of BioWare's space opera Mass Effect. They did say stay tuned for N7 Day, that there will be news regarding what the BioWare team is working on for the next release in Mass Effect. So you might actually hear that there's a new Mass Effect game coming by fall of 2023. And
they released the teaser for it back in like 2020.
Yeah.
So we knew Special Forces designation. There you go.
Yeah. So that was news there. And then they also said that the team behind Star Wars: The Old Republic is working fast and heavy on a new content update for that game, which, as someone who just got into that made me really excited, because it's a great game. It's amazing Star Wars storytelling along with the great MMORPG aspect. So excited about that. But yeah, I'm curious. I still need to play. Paul's here in the chat has also kind of echoed what you've said, is that he's played all of them. The best gameplay, Andromeda for sure. And I still
really?
think
I felt like I was, had a bold take with that, because it's that game has such a bad rap. But man, the combat is so much more fun.
Yeah, and I think that was his point too, is that the combat was really fun in Andromeda, which it looked fun when it was coming out. You were big in the Mass Effect 2's multiplayer, right?
3.
That's right.
I've probably sunk more hours into 3's multiplayer than any other game combined. Like I was still playing. I kept my PS3 just to play that, because it came with like came in the bundle pack. I bought that back when I was working in Ohio. It came with the discs for 1 and 2 and 3, and I played online for that so long. Yeah. It was just it's so much fun. Even when Andromeda came out, I went back to see like how much better and more balanced, and how the classes just worked better and everything. But there was just no verticality to it, obviously. But I found myself like playing it more, because when Andromeda came out, like I was really looking forward to the multiplayer, because it was it was like, hey, you like this combat, now go do it endlessly. But they just kept at the time they just kept milking down the loot boxes that you get. It made like the grind like 10 times longer or something, just to get like the weapons upgraded and stuff.
Okay.
Where none of that stuff, it was not that punishing in 3.
Okay.
And it just drove a lot of people out, and made you can't even play it online because there's not really any rooms available.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. So maybe you hear about Mass Effect 4. Like, this is not supposed to be a sequel to Andromeda, right? This is supposed to be a continuation of the Maybe I finally need to play that special edition collection, right?
They revamped it, right, for the new. Yeah, they did. Yeah. I played that. That was 2020 also, or 2021.
21, I want to say. Yeah, 21, 22.
Spring 2021.
Yeah. That was my whole thing. I played Mass Effect 1 over a winter break, probably 2013 or 14, when I was in grad school here, actually down the street at the Second Street Apartments, when I was living with Paul and Toby. And I borrowed my one friend, actually Darren. You remember Darren? He was in the fraternity with you. I borrowed his Xbox 360, and then Professor Jamie Phillips, I borrowed all of his games. I borrowed like Assassin's Creed 3 and a bunch of other games too, BioShock, and I played Mass Effect. And Mass Effect, I was used to like a real actiony shooter, and it was very much of a classic kind of computer RPG shooter game, which is fine. I know they've updated it, but you've even said going from Andromeda to the even updated ones for 1, 2 compared to like 3, it still is a time of adjustment. So
Yeah.
I just need to do it. So okay, so yeah, last update then. Here's a game I'm excited for, and it actually might be our giveaway for December. For those watching, if you're not aware, every month we do a giveaway here where you can enter if you do exclamation contest. This month we're giving away a copy of Pokemon Scarlet or Violet. Multiple ways to get multiple entries. Next month we have a survey going on in the Discord for people to vote for what we want to give away. It seems like Marvel Midnight Suns is the clear winner at the point, but Final Fantasy 7, gosh, what's the soldier game that's being remade? Help me out here, Alex.
Crisis Core.
Crisis Core, the remake of Crisis Core is at a close second, and then Dragon Quest Treasures is third, but falling behind. Which that game looks cool too. So yeah, Midnight Suns is the giveaway. I don't know if that's separate conversation. Midnight Suns. This game, I think it's based on a story arc in Marvel Comics. I'm not familiar with it. I don't know if you've heard of the Midnight Suns at any point either. But I think it's a pair up between people like Blade, Wolverine, and maybe Daredevil and so forth. This is how I would. This is made by, I believe, the people who 2K Games who worked on XCOM, and this is essentially a strategy game with Marvel heroes, and it's coming out in the fall, December. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
let me
that seemed really. Yeah, it just says 2020. Yeah, wait, which one are you talking about? Crisis Core or Midnight?
Midnight Suns 2022 release.
That's December 2nd.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, December 2nd. And they also worked on the Civ games. Okay, so yeah, very much a strategy-focused game. And they just announced some news that the season pass is going to have Morbius, so you can do Morbin time, Deadpool, and a handful of more people. Are you a fan of Morbius?
I mean, they had to include him because, I mean, that movie was released into theaters twice this year. Can you name another Marvel character? I mean, well, I guess Spider-Man, but I mean, that movie did so great. They had to bring it back.
It did make it's profitable, right? I mean, you're up to date with film. I remember you were always on the like here's the
Morbius. Are you asking, is Morbius profitable?
Yeah.
Profitable? No.
Yeah. It didn't make enough money. No, really?
No, it was definitely not. No.
Okay. See, I thought like there was nothing else coming in theaters.
There was so many memes about it. I mean, it failed. Like, it didn't do great. It didn't get what they wanted, like its opening weekend, I think, and then it just like failed off. It dropped off. So stop it. Who is that, Jen? It's not the time. It dropped off so hard, but then it got memed so hard on just every social media ever that the Sony execs put it back in theaters for like one weekend, thinking like, oh, we're gonna ride this wave, and it was so sad. Like nothing. I feel like the theater average was like $76. I'm completely pulling that out, but it's just like it was so sad that second release, which was like a month later.
You know, I was excited for it when the first trailer came out because I was like, oh, this could be a really cool story, and Morbius was cool in the cartoons. But yeah, it's I didn't see it. Maybe I'll watch it. That's you again with the Morbid time. No, it hasn't been delayed, Shiny. I just looked again. It's December 2nd. It's supposed to come out. So yeah, it should be
as far as designing a game around a character, I'm sure they're going to do stuff cool with him, you know, and just ignore that the movie and whoever was casted for him is completely ignored. But yeah, I'm sure they included him for probably unique gameplay. That's all.
Yeah. I'm excited for this game because I would call it HeroClix, but the video game. I mean, that's what HeroClix as a tabletop game is supposed to be. It is a tabletop strategy game where you have it's like the Mario Rabbids games, or it's like it's like XCOM, where you move your people so far as you can. You have a card that gives you your powers, and you can attack with certain range, right? And I would love to make HeroClix be easier to play. Now, if they start doing boxes and random characters you can get, I'm gonna have to like say, "Get out here, Satan," because then that tempts me. But I'm looking forward to a game like this. So yeah, it's should be interesting. But yeah, I think Deadpool's announced. I'm trying to think who else. I don't know who the core game's supposed to be, but
Storm was listed on that.
Ghost Rider as well.
Yeah.
Ghost Rider would be cool. So yeah, it's. I'm always looking at. I look forward to a new Marvel story, even if it's especially if it's like outside of the MCU. Not that like. Again, we've talked about this. Like MCU for a while kind of burned me out after Avengers because Avengers was just like so climactic. Like oh my gosh, it was perfect. And then afterwards, it's just like I think I need a break. Like I need to just. It's like getting out of college, like I'm not gonna go out on Friday night. You know what? I'm gonna relax for a bit. And so like even that, I'm getting more into MCU stuff again. But it's gonna be cool to see this, especially since I'm a huge Blade fan. That's probably my favorite Marvel character, and I was sad to hear that they delayed the movie as well. So yeah, so that's the news. Exciting stuff. So Alex, now that you've completely beat Gotham Knights, what have you been playing recently?
Man, before Gotham Knights was I played Steel Rising. Oh, it's
Steel
Soulsborne
Rising.
game. Cool, crazy.
Wait,
Steel Rising was it wasn't the developer wasn't. I feel like why is the word spider in my head? But no, it's a Soulsborne game that takes place back. You're like this mechanized
French period
dancer. Yeah, it's like during the French.
Yeah,
and like yeah, and it was a really cool game. It was extremely punishing. I don't think the enemies were too varied, but it was still a super fun game. I was playing that for like a couple weeks, but other than that, you guys mentioned Civ. I finally tried Civ 6 for the first time. I was playing that, so of course that sunk hundreds of hours into my life. And of course, Hot Wheels Unleashed. I mean, it was the PS Plus free game, so like it's a really good racing game.
Yeah. Dan Reichert was
a good racing game.
Dan Reichert was really all about that game when that game came out. So, who are you playing Civ with?
Victor. He played that back. I think he was playing Civ 5 back when I visited him, like in New York and stuff. That was just always what he had going on. And I was just like, I don't know how you can play this on a console. It looks like a point and click thing. Yeah. But no, it translates to the console pretty well.
Yeah. I think I got a Civ game on the Switch real quick because it was like $8 once for physical edition, and I got rid of it quickly. No, I can't do this. Whatever the most recent Civ came out on this, it wasn't full 6 though. Like it was a limited version of it for the Switch.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd probably try that game on PC. I guess I loved Warcraft and Starcraft. This is a little bit different than those types of RTSs, right? This is more of a long-term strategy game, right?
Yeah, it takes a couple hours.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we would waste whole nights. Like it would come home from work and started at 4, and we're like, we should probably just stop, and it's like midnight, and it just goes by so fast. But yeah, it can just take that long, going through all the turns.
Interesting. I know. Huh. So Civ, Hot Wheels Unleashed.
Yeah, I just been playing this. There's not been like there was in my head like the Ragnarok's right around the corner. With no games in context, that sounds pretty foreboding. But no, I mean like this year for me, yeah, it just sounds like I'm Norwegian, and Ragnarok's right around the corner. No, like the big games for me this year were Horizon Forbidden West and Elden Ring, and those things were like weeks apart from each other.
Yeah,
and I sunk so much time into those, and like Gotham Knights was the only thing like literally on the other horizon for me. I can't believe someone just mentioned I wasn't following it, but I didn't know the Crisis Core remake was coming out in December. Like that's what I'm waiting for now. That's crazy. That seemed like it was going to be like fall next year to me. Seems so far away, but that's awesome that it's this December.
I'm surprised.
Just Pokemon next month.
Yeah, Pokemon in less than what 20 days probably. And I know you were big on Crisis Core because when I started playing Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, you're like Crisis Core is possibly one of the better games to try on the PSP. And there was no way where I was because I was playing 7 for the first time ever. I was like, I can't play Crisis Core on the PSP. That'd be a real challenging kind of way to appreciate it. But now I don't have to. I could play it on the Switch. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. Midnight Suns I'm looking forward to. I have Rabbids literally in my Switch. I just haven't played it yet. Bayonetta. I think I don't know if it's been a quiet year for gaming. Elden Ring was a huge game, right? Elden Ring was a huge release.
These are big. These are big games. I mean, Horizon, Elden Ring, and
God of
I'm not gonna
War.
say
Yeah.
Gotham Knight, but like the new Pokemon, God of
Yeah.
War, like those are like tentpole series that most gamers would be looking forward to. But I did mention, I mean, you were talking to me about there's an article about games. Was it gaming year over year is down, but like
Yeah.
other stuff has
Yeah.
gone up, the sales?
Yeah. So that was something I didn't end up covering, but and there's a natural reason for that, right? Like gaming year over year from 2020 has continued to shrink. But think about why. Like all of a sudden something happened that people weren't doing ever, which is we all started staying inside. And so from 2020 onwards, people started playing games that never played games because of the lockdown across the globe. So compared to
This is just a relapse back to people
yeah,
getting their
so
schedules.
yeah, compared to 2019, gaming is still up by a significant amount, but it's still like coming back down from what I would call as a very inflated, unrealistic take of where gaming is. And that's the crazy thing to me. Like if you think about Animal Crossing was a cultural sensation because it was the perfect game for people who aren't gamers to play games. Like my wife would have loved Animal Crossing. I know tons of people who never play games that just spent hours upon hours in Animal Crossing because it was like a few months into the lockdown.
No,
Doom,
didn't that game come out? Didn't GameStop refuse to close down their stores because they
yeah,
wanted to get that game? That wasn't a few months. That was 1 week after the shutdown, like that Friday or like the
yeah,
following Friday. It was March
yeah.
2020.
Doom Eternal as well. Doom Eternal. It
Yeah,
was the Doom Eternal effect for
that's what
me.
it was.
Yeah, and so those games coming out, people started playing tons of games, and then it just kind of continued as the lockdown went on. Yeah, the Animal Crossing effect, exactly. So what you're seeing is a stabilization of people being able to go do things that, hey, I love games. We're talking about games right now, but it's good to be outside and do things in the real world too. So I think that's a part of it. The other thing was gaming accessories, and they were talking about it as when gaming accessories are growing, that's typically an indicator that the gaming space in of itself is doing well, because when people are willing to spend more money on accessories, that's in some sense saying, hey, I plan on gaming a lot, right? If I'm buying new headsets, if I'm buying new controllers, that seems to be like I'm investing into this. And
Yeah, enhancing my experience because I'm investing a lot of time.
yeah, and so yeah, that's a great way of phrasing it. So from that perspective, there's seasonalities to it, right? Where you get to the holidays, it's going to go up when more people are around. But there's also saturation points as well, where like there's only so many headsets you can buy. There's only so many controllers you can buy for your consoles, and so they were talking about how that's been down, and if that's a foreboding statement for where games are in general. I don't know if I believe that. I think gaming is. I gotta find the actual data on this because I mentioned it multiple times, but in terms of like total GDP for North America, the US, the biggest growth sector for the US economy has been entertainment, right? Meaning like TVs, movies for like decades now. It's not been technology. Technology's been important because it's been a revolutionary way in how we consume entertainment, but it's been entertainment. And the biggest growth driver in entertainment has been games. Like think about the most profitable media ever is Grand Theft Auto 5. Right? It's more profitable than any movie out there. So I think gaming is fine, but there is that kind of readjustment along with just how inflation's going up and everything's getting more expensive too. So people are like, I can't buy both versions of Pokemon, you know? Anyways, what were you going to say about that though?
Oh no, I just thought like I was thinking I didn't know it was about a stabilization after a sudden surge, but
Yeah.
I just thought like this year has probably been my driest year of gaming. Like that so much so that like I'm trying like those free games, monthly games. Like I would have never gave Grand Blue Versus a shot, but because it was a free game, just something on there because like just nothing else was coming out that was worth
Yeah.
me, nothing else to grab my attention. I just felt like it was a dry year because I could only remember four of the games, the big ones that I played this year. So I thought that was just it. Seems like a lot of stuff might be held up on a little bit of development because of still the transition to either a new game engine or the new systems.
Yeah.
But I just feel like there's a lot of growing pains that are happening right now that it just doesn't seem as consistent with releases. But I feel like 2023 is going to be like insane. That's why I feel like everything got pushed and everything is just like it's going to be chaos, not chaos, but just nonstop.
But
One or two games a month, it seems.
Final Fantasy there.
Mm.
Chaos.
Oh.
Even the new technologies, the new engines, and the new way of working, right? Because games that were supposed to probably come out in 2022, they were in development 2020 and before. So
Mhm.
you have for the first time ever people trying to make games in a way where they never made games before, and at least long term, right? You'd work on stuff at home and you'd share stuff from home, and but big teams were never really optimized to make games completely apart from each other. Indie developers are real good at that, but it takes longer too. So yeah, I think 2023. Two things are probably going to happen this holiday season. I think it's going to be a pretty healthy holiday season, considering all things with the economy right now and inflation. I think people are going to be able to get PS5s more easily than they have been since the PS5 came out. Same with the Xbox. But I mean, even one of the other news articles I had up there, Game Pass is growing, but it's to a point now where Phil Spencer says our biggest growth for Game Pass is PC. Consoles kind of getting saturated because everyone that has a console, Xbox, is getting Game Pass, and it's about 15% of their profit. But it's kind of unsure about where the true. And again, me as someone who just wants to play good games, I don't necessarily care about this that much. But for the sake of the industry moving forward, where these people are playing, where they feel like they're going to grow, I think it's really going to be a matter of mobile gaming and cloud gaming. And I don't mean just like games for your cell phone, but like figuring out the last mile to make people who only have cell phones have a console experience over the internet on their cell phone, right? Like that's already a thing with cloud gaming, Xbox Game Pass. Like you could go to Game Pass on my browser here and I could play Halo. I don't do that because I have other options, but there's people that only have that option in most of the world, and they're really focused on trying to get there as well. In fact, Phil Spencer has come out and said, "Hey, this acquisition of Activision isn't so much about Call of Duty; it's more about getting King and expanding our mobile game footprint. Like they actually want to make a mobile storefront to compete with the Apple Store and the Google Store." So, yeah, this is Paul says he was a teacher. Kids only played Fortnite on their phones and nowhere else. Like that's I know I hear about people who only play Call of Duty on their phone. I would hate that experience, but it's
That's
crazy to think about.
that's the accessibility and that they grew up
Mhm.
with though.
Yeah,
Nothing's going to top that kind of accessibility.
yeah, and you're going to be in the Philippines here soon. I mean, you've been in the Philippines. When I was there, I was always surprised by how many people were gamers, but they
Mhm.
played mobile games that I never heard of, but were also bigger than most of the games that are big here in the West. Like mobile games and stuff like that. I was like, I don't know what that is. So
Mhm.
yeah, well, that's interesting. I don't know any I what I'm excited for now. We're gonna have to do a game of the
Crisis
year.
Core.
Well, yeah, that too. But we're gonna have to do a game of the year.
I can do
I
it.
don't know. I don't know if we have to get as extravagant as our favorite show, the Beastcast, but um, I can message Dan Reichert and I said, Dan, we need you. It's like here's a photo of me and you at E3, and I gave you copies of my game. You
More
owe me.
facial hair. Let's get more
Yeah,
facial hair in here.
yeah. So I'm looking forward to hear that. But yeah, I appreciate you joining me this Friday night.
Yeah,
This
no
was fun.
problem.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a
Um.
nap, and then I have friends coming over later. It's
Okay.
late there, isn't it? It's only 6
It's
here.
it's 8:45 here. Yeah.
Okay.
Brianna left me for a short time. She went to hang out with her my parents in-laws. And yeah, so we're gonna do this, and we're gonna get some ice cream, and I think we're gonna go watch some TV and call it a night. And then I'm putting a helmet on for 12 hours tomorrow because I'm a sucker for pain. So
Are
did I
you
not
like
send you that
motorcycle
photo?
racing, or you
No,
test
that I sent you
piloting?
that photo.
Oh, is that in a store helmet?
That is, I
Oh,
own
or
that right now.
Solitaire. Sorry, Astorius.
It's metal. It's full realistic. Like you could hit me with a broadsword, and I would only feel it a little bit.
So you're either LARPing or working at a Renaissance fair. No, this
I
is something that someone. Oh yeah, you have to wear the helmet for your stream.
Yeah, yeah,
Option number 3, I missed it.
yeah. That's enough. My boss knows now too, and he's just like, "I like you," and I was just, "Well, that's the nicest thing I thought you could say." So, yeah. So that's tomorrow. So yeah, I'm gonna just relax tonight. Maybe
Okay.
play some Mario Rabbits finally. I keep a
Um,
broadsword on me at all times just in case I run into Joyful. So that's good. I sent you that long text message to you and Greg about it. I was like, I got this helmet from a man named Orlando.
Yeah, Roland.
Yeah, Roland, which is the Italian version is Orlando, which Roland being the greatest paladin of Charlemagne's 12 paladins. And then I turned the end of that text message into an advertisement for Jimmy John's.
That's what yeah, I know.
Yeah. I thought you'd get a laugh out of that.
I thought you were quoting something and you just like Control F and replace everything with
Jimmy John's.
Yep.
It's great. This podcast is not sponsored by Jimmy John's, but it is sponsored by NAPS. That's natural anti-procrastination stimulants. 1 15-minute nap a day, and you'll feel better anyway. And if you're really exhausted, do a 45-minute nap, and you'll be ready to conquer the world.
I have no idea what's real anymore.
That's life with me. Everything's improv. All right. Alex, any closing remarks to chat?
Have a safe weekend. Don't eat too much candy.
Oh, yeah, that's good advice. Go in peace, everyone, and we will catch you next Friday. Adios.
Peace.